All right, let's talk about something that tempts pretty much every sports bettor out there, the low odds accumulator. You know the one, bundling a bunch of so-called sure things together for an easy profit. But is it really a golden ticket, or is it just a well-disguised trap? Let's dig in and find out. And that right there is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, the logic seems so solid. You just take a few heavy favorites, teams you're almost certain will win, you combine them, and poof, your small stake turns into a really nice payout. It feels safe, it feels smart. But we're here to find out if that feeling actually lines up with the cold, hard reality. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with why these bets feel so safe in the first place. Then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what an accumulator really is. From there, we'll uncover the hidden risks, expose the profitability trap, and finally, look at a much smarter way to wager. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the psychology here. Why are we so drawn to these bets? Well, it all boils down to a powerful illusion of safety. The idea itself is just so seductive, right? You're not taking a wild swing on some massive underdog. No, you're carefully building what feels like a fortress, brick by brick, with these safe little wins. The problem is, as we're about to find out, every single brick you add is another potential point of failure. And that's the big myth we're here to bust today. All right, time to get specific. Before we can really tear down the risks, we have to be absolutely crystal clear on what an accumulator, or a parlay if you prefer, actually is. Okay, the most important part of this whole thing is that it's a single bet. It's not four separate wagers, it's one wager. And it needs every single one of your predictions, every leg, to be correct. If just one of those teams messes up, the whole thing is gone. And we're usually talking about huge favorites here, with odds between 1.10 and 1.40. So let's put this into a real-world example so you can see it in action. Here we've got a classic fourfold accumulator with some of the biggest clubs in Europe. You look at those odds individually, and they're tiny. You're not going to make much money betting on them one by one. But when we string them together, well, that's when the magic seems to happen. You put down €100 bet, and if all four of those giants do their job, you more than double your money. You're looking at a profit of over $130. And that, my friends, is the appeal. That's what reels bettors in, the power of multiplication turning tiny odds into a really attractive payout. And you know, that kind of potential payout is why so many people are drawn to this style of betting. Now, for those of you looking to place these kinds of bets, it's worth knowing where to find the best deals. By the way, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplace.us in your browser. Okay, let's get back to the risk. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? With that high potential reward comes a hidden and very, very significant risk. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the mathematical reality of these things. And here it is, the brutal math. The actual theoretical chance of that fourfold accumulator hitting? A measly 1.24%. Just let that sink in. Even with four massive favorites, you have less than a 2% chance of actually winning. All of a sudden, that safe bet doesn't feel so safe anymore, does it? This is the absolute key you need to remember. It's not addition, it's multiplication of risk. Every single leg you add to your slip, no matter how much of a sure thing it seems, slashes your overall probability of winning. The more safe bets you add, the more statistically improbable your win becomes. Now, some of you might be thinking, hang on, that's why I use system bets like a Yankee or a Lucky 15. And the idea there is to create a sort of safety net. You're basically placing a bunch of smaller accumulators inside one big wager. It gives you coverage so you can lose a leg and still get some money back. But that safety net comes at a price, a much higher upfront cost and a lower potential payout. So the real question is, does that safety net actually lead to profit? This is where we stumble right into the profitability trap, a really dangerous place where getting most of your picks right can somehow still leave you with empty pockets. So let's put it to the test. We'll take our same four teams, but this time we'll put them in a Yankee system bet, which is supposed to protect us. Now, let's watch what happens when the inevitable upset occurs and just one of our sure things lets us down. So let's say PSV, the team with the highest odds on our slip at 1.37, chokes and fails to win. Hey, we still got 3 out of 4 correct. That feels like a great result. But because we lost the leg with the highest odds, the impact on our return is absolutely devastating. And there's the bottom line. Even with 3 out of 4 winners, your €100 stake gets you a return of about €54. That is a net loss of over €46. You are 75% correct, and you still lost almost half of your money. That right there, that is the trap. The cover didn't come close to covering your costs. And this problem gets so much worse as you add more teams. Bettors love chasing those huge lottery-style payouts with these giant 10-match systems. But just look at this breakdown. It costs you €56 just to place the bet. And if you manage to pull off an incredible 80% win rate, getting 8 out of 10 picks right, your return is less than €15. You were a fantastic predictor, and you still lost 3/4 of your stake. It's wild. It's so clear that building a winning strategy over the long term is about way more than just picking winners. And for those of you who are now really thinking hard about your own strategies, it helps to have the right tools. So if you were looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for Bet Placed US in your browser. Okay, now let's look at a strategy that might actually work. So, if these giant accumulators and these complicated systems are so often just a fast track to losing money, is there a better way? Let's take a look at an alternative approach that the numbers seem to favor. This slide right here tells the whole story. We've got the exact same 10 teams with the same great 80% win rate. On the left, that complex, supposedly safer system bet, it results in a massive €41 loss. On the right, a much simpler strategy, just splitting basically the same stake into 5 separate two-team parlays or doubles. And the result? You're actually in profit. Simplicity and discipline won where complexity and a false sense of security failed. This really gets right to the heart of it all, and this quote just sums it up perfectly. Any strategy involving parlay bets lets your winning percentage grind you down slowly. It doesn't matter how good you are at picking winners. That compounding risk is a relentless mathematical force that is always working against your bankroll. Okay, before we get to our final takeaway, just one last pointer for you. As a final thought, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for BetPlace US in your browser. And so we end up right back where we started. That dream of hitting the one big accumulator for a life-changing win is powerful, I get it. But we've seen how the math is just brutally stacked against you. So the question you really have to ask yourself is this. Are you in this for the thrill of chasing a lottery ticket? Or are you aiming to build a slow, steady profit with smaller, smarter bets? The numbers point clearly in one direction, but the choice, well, that's always yours.